Hi everyone, for today's book review we're going to be checking out German Raiders by Paul Schmallenbach. German raiders, or rather merchant ships that were used by the German Navy in World War I and World War II and were converted into warships. They hunted the seas for lone merchant vessels and camouflaged with guns and torpedoes, and in some instances with reconnaissance aircraft and even motor torpedo boats. They would hunt and attack these unsuspecting ships. Some of these German raiders also carried mines and laid minefields, which also added to the attrition rate. The subject of raiders is extensively well covered. So, for example, anyone wanting a quick introduction into German commerce raiders, particularly in World War I, you've got this wonderful Osprey volume. A more detailed look at all the commerce raiders, the German commerce raiders in World War I, may I highly recommend The Kaiser's Pirates. This is a brilliant book. You also have individual accounts of raiders' activities, and these are just some. You've got one of the more successful ones, The Wolf. You've got the account of German raiders in World War II, False Flags, particularly with a focus in the Pacific. And then you also have naval analyses between German raiders and some of their opponents. One of the more dramatic ones was the duel between the Cormoran and HMAS Sydney. And you have books such as The Analysis, which looks at the battle and what we knew up until the wreck was discovered. And one of the better books on the subject, Bitter Victory. So you're probably thinking, well, there's a lot of books out there about German raiders. What makes this book special? And the point of difference of Paul Schmallenbach's book is that even though it may appear to be a thin volume, it is actually quite impressive the amount of information he has put together. The point of difference of this book is that it doesn't just look at individual or collective operational histories, but it looks at every aspect of German raider activities. The crews, the commanders, the logistics, supplies, weapons, disguises. Statistical data including gross tonnage sunk, ranges, weaponry, capabilities of each vessel. All of this is condensed into one compact volume. And as no doubt you're seeing up in the corner there, in addition to some of the extensive photos, there are of course the stats and the figures and the records of the various commanders and crews. This book is methodical in its approach, and it is concise, and I can't help but just feel that this book was written with typical efficiency, and it doesn't. And what's quite interesting as well is that the author was the former gunnery officer of the Prinz Eugen. Yes, the World War II heavy cruiser that ended up being expended off the Bikini Atoll, and now that you can dive upon its wreck. This efficient book covers a great deal of information in a very compact way, and yet it is also very readable. The huge draw card is the variety of photos here. There are photos of on board the raiders, either disguising their ships, maintaining them, in action, and there's even one dramatic photo of the Oceaner Kronprinz Wilhelm, one of the more successful commerce raiders, actually lining up to ram a schooner because it didn't have enough shells to use its guns. This is a concise, highly readable, extremely well-illustrated look at the entire realm of commerce raiding. Not just the ships and the crews and their individual voyages, but the overall logistics and facilities, weaponries, tactics, strategies, results, and complete overall look at commerce raiding, what it involved, what it entailed, and how effective it was. And how do you determine success? Is it in the number of ships sunk? Is it in the number of naval units that were spread out to try and find the single raider? It's a debate that continues to rage. How do you define the success of a merchant raider? Indeed, were they ever successful? Another point to throw out is that with one of them, they laid minefields, and in World War One they were able to sink one of the Royal Navy's newest battleships, HMS Audacious, which, again, ocean liner aficionados, you may recall that the Olympic even tried to tow it at one point before the ship rolled over and sank. This is a fascinating and fantastic book, highly recommended for those who are interested in naval warfare, merchant raiding, and indeed ocean liners, because quite a few, especially in World War One, were employed as merchant raiders, and many met dramatic and fiery ends, i.e. Kaiser Wilhelm der Grosse and the Cap Trafalgar. For all of this, this is a solid 4 captain's hats. It absolutely could do with a new edition, give it a nice new update, but in terms of information, photo quality, readability, it is absolutely fantastic and highly recommended for your naval bookshelves. And if there are any other naval books that you would like reviewed, please let me know in the comments below, or indeed any naval subjects, let me know, and I'll certainly hunt through my library and review them for you. So until next time, enjoy and happy reading, everyone!